talk for a minute about what we mean by inclusion. I know we've heard a lot about it, and I know there's a lot of ideas out there, but when we talk about inclusion, we're talking about a way of thinking and acting that demonstrates acceptance for all students. So looking at all students having the opportunity to be fully and meaningfully included in the typical learning environment or the program of choice. And that could look very different depending on the student. We need to remember that that physical placement of that student will be flexible and changeable, and always with student success in mind. So it's not about just putting kids in classrooms and expecting magical things to happen. It's about looking at a student individually and meeting their learning needs and what that looks like for them. Learning coaches are teachers. They're certified professionals who are knowledgeable about inclusion, the programs of study, and are skilled at collaboration and sharing of evidence-based practices. So sometimes we get the question, well, what is not part of a learning coach role? Well, we really strongly believe that they should not be evaluating or supervising teachers. That's an administrative role. They shouldn't be a resource room teacher where we've had resource room teachers that will pull students out and fix them and then send them back, and the teacher has no idea what practices or any strategies that we're working with that student. So that's not how we see this working out. We see the learning coach working more with the teachers to support the students.
These are some of the things a learning coach could offer: support, help, advice, guidance, and assistance.
So what skills do coaches need to be able to do this? They need a strong understanding of and commitment to inclusive education, as we've referenced, meeting diverse student needs, using the programs of study as a starting point for all students, differentiated instruction, positive behavior supports, and really some background information on how adults learn, because really they'll be working more with the adults in the classroom than the students. So what would the learning coach's role be then in promoting inclusive education? We see them as modeling a positive attitude toward diversity, building capacity to support diverse learners, helping to identify the barriers to help to overcome them, encourage new practices and creative problem solving, and to advocate for both students and for teachers.
So let's talk a little bit about the research. We know there's diversity in our schools. We know there's diversity in this room. And we know that coaching really helps to move inclusion forward for teachers. We did a literature review last year to look at what the potential of learning coaches was. And here are a few highlights. We found that definitely a collaborative model is more and more recommended in the research, that there were definitely changes in the practices of teachers who were regularly coached, that students were more engaged, there was less dropout, and class attendance increased dramatically. Coaching teams include teachers volunteering, professional relationships based on respect and trust of the learning coach. Well-defined roles and responsibilities, that's really important. I mean, it's all important. Support from administration, the leadership team has to be on board, and ongoing professional learning. And we feel that school-based coaches really have the potential to support inclusive education, as we mentioned before, when all the right conditions are in place. And of course, it's going to look different for every school, every jurisdiction, based on your students, based on your circumstances.
When we talk about inclusion, we've talked previously about a lot of the guiding principles that help to guide us towards working toward more inclusive practices. So we just wanted to spend a few minutes talking about how can coaches help us do that. Well, first of all, coaches support the policy direction for inclusive education outlined in Action on Inclusion and Inspiring Action, starting from setting direction and confirmed with the GOA response in the strategic direction. As well, all students can learn and be successful. So regardless of a student's ability or disability, we believe that all students can be successful. All students can participate and contribute to school life, regardless of their background, their experience, their culture. Classroom teachers are responsible for ensuring that all their students in the classroom are included and have the opportunities to contribute. So all students are taken responsibility for, and teachers need to be supported to be able to do that. All decisions are made based on the needs and interests of students. So it's not a cookie-cutter type of model we're looking at. We're looking at learning based around needs of individual students and responding to that. We believe also that the Alberta programs of study are the starting point of instruction for all students. So all students should be able to use these outcomes, and they should be made available to everyone. We also know that we need to support teachers to be able to do a better job at this.